You've tuned into The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the city of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Manager, Melissa Wissel, The Break Room offers a closer look at the city's programs and provides updates on current and upcoming projects. And now your host for The Break Room, Melissa Wissel.
Welcome to The Break Room. Thanks for joining us. The Break Room is a place for us to get together for just a few minutes and take a break from our daily work, catch up with coworkers, and hear about what's happening in and around the city. I'm Melissa Wissel, Communications Manager for the City of St. Augustine. With general elections right around the corner, we have invited back to The Break Room Vicky Oakes, Supervisor of Elections for St. Johns County. Vicky, welcome back.
Thank you, Melissa. Great to be here with you today.
This is, I'm going to say we've set a record. You have joined me in studio now 3 times this year. This is our third time. Third time's a charm. It is a big election year, not just locally, but at the county and state level, and of course at the national level with our presidential election. Looking back over this year, our first conversation was about the special election right before COVID. Things were still pretty normal. Second election was the primary. Not so normal. You and your staff and all the election workers had major challenges. Give us an update on how things went with the primary and what we can see here moving into the general election.
Okay, so we adopted our voter election protection standards, certain things for our workers in order to keep them safe, and then also some responsibilities and things for our voters, which include things like mask, hand sanitizer, clean pens, voting surfaces, and that worked very well in the primary election. So we're going to continue with that for the general election. The one difference will be that the voting booths will not be 6 feet apart in our voting locations. And I don't know if voters have looked at their ballots, sample ballots. It's simply because of the length of the ballot. You as a voter have a very long ballot, 2 pages, and that could be a very serious waiting area if we don't provide enough voting booths.
Okay. So quantity of the voting booths is going to supersede, but you've got all other measures in place.
Yes, we do. And any lines will be outside of the precinct. Mm-hmm. We're going to stay with that and request that our voters socially distance outside. Inside, they're going to be line monitors that we just want a nice, slow, steady, even flow to our early voting and our election day precincts. With voters, we're asking them, please be prepared when you come to vote.
So you're talking about early voting. Let's talk about early voting. You and I were chatting on our way over here. People are ready to vote.
They are. And we've already seen a return of right at 20,000 of our vote-by-mail ballots. That tells us something, that our voters are ready to vote.
Have you started counting those ballots yet?
No, actually, we began on October the 9th as our first session. We've already mailed out about 70,000 ballots, Melissa, and when those are voted and come back, it just takes time. So we have a number of sessions planned. Our first is October the 19th, and we have a whole schedule of the canvassing board activities so that Monday afternoon, the day before Election Day, we have a cleanup so that when we leave Monday afternoon, every vote-by-mail ballot has been opened and counted so that we go into Election Day with everything done.
Okay. So if I'm coming to the ballot on Election Day, it's round 2, if you will, of your count. You'll have already counted all the mail-ins. Then when I go to vote in person, that's a new voting tally.
Right. And then none of those results are released, of course, until after 7 p.m. election night. So our first result release includes all the vote-by-mail ballots that have been counted and then the votes that were cast during early voting.
So you don't give any kind of a pre-release. There's no sneak preview of who's ahead before the polls open on Tuesday morning.
Nope.
Got to wait until Tuesday night.
That's exactly what the law says.
All right. And talking about early voting, 10 locations, 13 days, Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 6. We've talked about this. We are a no excuse state. There's no way that people can't find a way to get their vote in.
Yeah, the no excuse is specifically for voting by mail. But Melissa, I'll tell you, this was really a stretch for my staff and our workers. And we sat down and said, can we do 10 sites?
Okay.
And they said, yes, we have the equipment, we have the tabulators, we have the ballot on demand printers. We will have enough staff. If you want 10, that's what we'll go with. So that is 3 more early voting sites than we normally have in a general election. So voters can pick anywhere in the county that they want to go and vote early. Like you said, 13 days. That includes 2 Saturdays and 1 Sunday.
So I'm out running my errands. Just go find an early voting station. And I will mention this too. You've got Ponte Vedra Beach Library, Ponte Vedra Concert Hall, St. John's Convention Center at World Golf, the Supervisor of Elections office there by the Sheriff's office, even out St. John's Parkway at the Shops of St. John's Parkway, Solomon Calhoun here in St. Augustine Beach City Hall, Southeast branch of the library down on US 1, and then the Hastings branch library. And Julington Creek Annex, in case I missed that. So if you're listening in, there's got to be somewhere nearby there that you can get to for early voting. On Election Day, though, I stood corrected last time because I didn't realize that. You have to go to your station.
Yes, to your precinct. Based on your address, which will be a polling place in your neighborhood. The law requires that.
I can tell you from experience, if you go to the wrong one and they pull up your name and address, the workers there are very polite and they will say to you, you're in the wrong location. You need to go to your precinct.
Yeah. And let me tell you, we have particular problem at our early voting location, St. Augustine Beach City Hall. There'll be 200 or 300 voters that go there on Election Day and have to be rerouted to their correct precinct because they always vote there. Well, right. That's during early voting.
Gotcha.
So my message to our voters is check your sample ballot that we've mailed you. Your Election Day polling place is printed on it in red. And then we always have our tools available on our website where you can look up your precinct.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Break Room. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Manager for the City of St. Augustine. Today in studio with me, I have Vicky Oakes, Supervisor of Elections, and we are talking about the upcoming general election and what you need to do to be prepared to vote. Vicky, you were mentioning the website, and I'll go ahead and mention that for the listeners. It's votesjc.com. That's votesjc.com. You can, when you get to that website, that's the landing page. There's a bunch of general election information. You can check your, like you just mentioned, the who's running, the candidate guide, and then any kind of information that you need for the election, and that's votesjc.com. Vicky, what are the things that you're hearing from voters when you and I sit here and we've just kind of wrapped it all up, but you still get questions. It still seems to people just want to make sure they're doing it right. What are some of the questions that you get?
Especially from vote by mail ballot voters, they want to know how they can find out if their ballot is received. We have a great tool right on our website, votesjc.com. Click on it. It's called My Voter Status. Type in your information. You can track your vote by mail ballot from its request, mail date. When you voted and return it, you can see the date we return it. You can even confirm that your ballot has been counted. On that same place is also where you can view your sample ballot.
Okay. So if I'm wanting to vote even in person, but I haven't gotten mine in the mail, or I've lost it in my shuffle of mail on my kitchen counter, I can get that sample ballot online.
You absolutely can. And I want our voters to please be prepared because it's a long ballot. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-page, 2-sided each page.
Oh, wow.
Lots of constitutional amendments, lots of judges. There are a lot of races on our ballot this time. And it's going to take some time for voters to mark their ballot. So we want them to come prepared so that they can efficiently go in, get checked in, get their ballot issued, mark it, and put it in the tabulator, and out they go.
Out they go. So your track the ballot is about like how I shop on Amazon.
Yeah.
I can see when my order was placed. I can see when it was delivered. I can see where it's tracking. That's a really cool process, because I know for me, I like to go in person because I just don't want to worry about whether my ballot has been counted. But that's a really good piece of information to know that it's that detailed to be able to track it for my individual vote if I'm mailing it in.
Right. And then the other question for people that receive a ballot, there's, a lot in the news now about Postal Service issues, the thing that's going on in Pennsylvania with their secrecy sleeve. Voters are a little concerned, and they want to know, is it okay if I received a vote by mail ballot? Can I still just go in person? Absolutely, they can. Absolutely. And our early voting sites, there's 10, pick one. Early voting begins October the 19th.
Okay. But if I get mine in the mail, I don't have to take it with me and hand it in.
It's suggested that you do.
Okay.
However, the workers will not turn you away. If you have your ballot with you, they would like for you to surrender it.
Okay.
And then they're going to issue you a regular ballot, but you don't have to.
And there are drop boxes at all the early voting locations. During the early voting hours, I can drop a ballot in there.
Yes. Yes, they are.
On Election Day, Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. all day. I can go out, and anytime I can vote.
So your polling place will be open, all 39 of them in St. Johns County, as normal, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So that jumps up 39 polling stations on Election Day.
Yes, in St. Johns County.
And we, as you mentioned at the beginning, safety and health guidelines are in place, masks, hand sanitizer, wiping everything down, pens, the whole 9 yards. It's a safe environment for me to go and vote in person.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other question. If I have a child who is now of age, who is able to vote, but is away from home, and his ballot comes to the house, can I forward it in the mail? Can I just put a sticker on it and say forward and send it to his college P.O. box?
No, you can't, Melissa.
Okay.
Vote by mail ballots are not forwardable, and that would come back to us. But you can put it in another envelope and mail it directly to them. What we suggest is we have tools right on our website where that student can go, make their request, and then have their ballot sent directly to them. And then, of course, it has a postage-paid return envelope, so they just need to make sure to vote and return their ballots. Vote-by-mail ballots have to be received in the elections office by Election Day, no later than 7 p.m. in order to be counted.
Okay. And that just takes out the middleman of it getting to the house and then me having to send it back to him. He can just ask for it to be delivered directly to him.
Yeah.
Prepaid postage also eliminates, I didn't have a stamp.
That's right. It does.
I think he could afford a stamp, but that's good to know it's postage paid. So lots of easy, convenient, efficient ways for people to make sure their vote is cast. It's a big year, like you mentioned, a lot of things on the ballot. Anything else you want to offer or suggest to our listeners? It's been great having you here with us today.
Yes, well, I'd like to ask voters when they come to vote in person to please bring a measure of patience with them. We are, especially on the first 2 days and the last 2 days of early voting, expecting to see lines because everyone is ready to vote. So just ask them to be prepared to have their sample ballot with them, have it marked, bring a measure of patience with them, and they will be able to vote. It begins October 19th at 8 a.m., 10 locations in St. Johns County.
Excellent. Thank you for the update, Vicky. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Melissa.
As we wrap up another edition of The Break Room, I hope we answered your questions about voting. If we didn't, take a minute. You can drop an email to info@citysanog.com. You can also check out all the resources about voting at votesjc.com for all your general election information. We want to keep you informed about what's happening in and around the city, and most importantly, that you hear it here from the people doing the work and making it happen every day. Remember that in order to stay connected with the city, you need to be connected. Like us and follow us on any of our social media platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City St. Aug. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program about projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. We hope you'll join us each week as host Melissa Whistle and her guests have a conversation that helps you better understand how our city works to meet the needs of our community. See you next time on The Break Room.